So I wanted to set the record straight here. Am I on a mission to fucking sledge the fuck out of Airbnb? No, I'm not. I'm not at all. It's a controversial issue, you know, and really what it boils, there's a few things that I've done a lot of thinking about this, okay? Firstly, you can't really just compare the rates that Airbnb charges to that of private rental. Or can you? Because naturally they say, well, it's greedy, you know, blah, blah, blah. But is it the same service that the owner is providing for each one of them? And I don't know if we really know the answer to that. But probably a little bit more, because when you lease a property out to a tenant, it's expected that they care for the property, they care for the garden, they do some of, probably not maintenance, because the landlord's actually supposed to do that. So really, you think about it, there's not much difference, but there is, you know. It's because, you know, the owner is having to either pay for a cleaner very frequently, or go in and clean themselves, which is their own time, you know, and I've seen that with as well, you know. So there's a lot of, if they're doing the cleaning themselves, there's a lot of work, and if they're doing hiring cleaning, it's a lot of work. But obviously they're still ahead doing things this way as opposed to privately renting, because otherwise they wouldn't be doing it right. But the question is how much further ahead. I mean, it's very one-dimensional though, just to compare the two side to side, because they are different, I believe. I mean, how much more are the overheads for Airbnb versus private rental? I don't think we know that. And cleaning also, might I just stress that if you don't leave the places in mighty fine, clean, almost spotless, so that a cleaner doesn't need to come in condition, you get a fucking steam and review, let me tell you. And so, you know, it's not like they're having to clean up, you know, terrible messes the majority of the time, because people don't want bad reviews. But there's the linen changes, I guess, and the gardening that they still have, that they would have to do, that the tenants wouldn't have to do, would normally do. So there are differences. But those overheads amount to the extra amount that they earn through Airbnb. And I don't think we know the answer to that, but I would think not. Otherwise they wouldn't do it, would they? And then if we compared prices to hotels, you realise that the Airbnb prices are actually not that bad, okay? They're actually in line with the market. In fact, you get a lot more with Airbnb than what you would with a hotel room. So standard hotel room, you know, upwards of $150 a night. You could get a whole unit for that with Airbnb. So you know, their prices aren't that exorbitant when you look at it that way, okay? Because we're looking at you've got to compare apples to apples, holiday accommodation, not private rental to holiday accommodation. But it's the sticky one, because then you go back to the housing shortage in Australia, and you're like, but you know, but why should we allow all of these holiday homes just to pop up? We have towns full of holiday homes and fucking no people housed. You know, so how's that make sense either from a socialist sort of perspective, dare I say it? Now, and I guess, but the thing is too, if you look at hotels' overheads, I would think that their overheads per guest would be a lot higher than what that of Airbnb's would be, because they've got a whole menagerie of staff that they have to pay. They've got like linen services, kitchen, if they've got a kitchen, you know, the list goes on. It's a much bigger machine than an Airbnb setup. And the other thing too is all the safety regulations and things like that hotels have and have to abide by, that Airbnb really doesn't. It's quite unregulated, and that's one of the areas of what do you call it? Areas of concern. That's not really the word that I was looking for. Contention. That's the area of contention. There's no regulation for their areas of B's, and you know, so they're unsafe. You know, you know. But the next question is: has there ever been any case records of any disasters that have happened due to lack of these safety regulations? And you know, so maybe there's too much red tape and bureaucracy involved in all of it in hotels. I mean, but dare I say it? Do we pull back on safety? Well, that's a very difficult one to justify as well. So it's a really sticky place, but they're basically getting by and skimping on things, safety a lot of the time, and that takes away from the overheads, which increases their profit margin, you know, and that really, one could say, puts them at an unfair advantage over hotels as well. You know, it's very sneaky. In terms of, do we really need to put these safety measures and regulations in place for hotels? Are there any case studies of any disasters happening in Airbnbs due to lack thereof them, or there must be case studies of bad things happening before the implementation of those measures. Otherwise, they wouldn't have been implemented. Okay, so we don't do things for silly reasons. Probably it is necessary, and so I'd be interested to see the literature about Airbnb accidents and disasters. Maybe it's just been swept under the carpet. There has been one study actually that did show that out of 100,000 complaints to Airbnb, like a staggering 80% of them was due to very poor customer service. Now, let me tell you anecdotally, I know locally here, there is an Airbnb. They've got a top front-loaded washing machine and the top is missing off it. I am not joking, folks. The drum is fully exposed. If a kid sticks their hand in the top, they're going to either electrocute themselves or get their hands cut off. Now, when the occupants actually raised this is an issue to the local Airbnb Made Easy, which I've got a few gripes with them actually. I think they cut corners, to be honest with you, and I'm willing to challenge them on that. But their response was, "Oh, we're too busy to fix that." But if you're too busy to fix something like that, then you've got too many properties on your hand and you need to get more staff or something because you're not properly servicing the ones you've got. It's just infuriating to hear that. These people, they want all the trappings of this booming business, but they're not willing to properly provide a safe service. It's a disaster waiting to happen. That's what fills me with ire. But then you have very, very careful and considerate and good hosts too. So it's not all of them across the board are shit. It's just some of them are, and they let the side down. And this is what I'm getting at. There's no standard. There's no standards across this marketplace. There's no standards at all to which they must adhere to. It's all unregulated. They need like a regulatory agency or something like that goes and inspects these places. They really do, because some of the things that I've seen are really very unsafe. They really are. And not to mention that too, but not only unsafe, but I've seen hidden cameras. Oh, I'm going to sound crazy, but in one particular instance, yes, I did. I found hidden cameras on the Wi-Fi network. So I didn't mention anything. I don't want to make a palaver of it because you really do sound like a crazy when you mention it. But who regulates this, and you can imagine if you're someone who has a home, you love that home, you're emotionally attached to it. Of course, you're going to justify going to the extents of breaching someone else's privacy to protect something that you love. It's much different from hotels where they don't have that emotional. So, this is where you can see these sorts of things start to happen and breaches of ethics and codes of ethics and morals that are really concerning, Sometimes, it's just nice to check into a hotel where you're going to be looked after and the staff are there. Sometimes, but 9 times out of 10, it's nice to have the space of an Airbnb. So, Airbnb's brought that to us. We can stay in nice places, big houses, have different styles of holidays that we're accustomed to, maybe even enriched and better. But it's on the dodgy, and so that's really my thoughts. Look, to be honest with you, I've had bricks and mortar, and you could get $3,000 a week as opposed to $600. Fuck, you'd be crazy to go with the private rental, I guess, in some ways. But I don't know how it'd go, what I would think, because I guess I have a social conscience too. So I don't know. It's a really tricky one, I don't think there's any right or wrong answer. I don't think Airbnb is wrong. I think there's some things that need to be improved on, I'd hate to see the hotel industry completely fucking go through the hoops. I think we still need hotels, Airbnbs have taken away my ability to secure a rental property. But without Airbnbs now, I'd have nowhere to live. So that's the circular arguments that you start to get yourself into, So I think the reality of it is that they're here to stay. We can't deny that, but I think that hopefully there will be more regulation they'll be pulled into line with the rest of the sort of tourism industry, you know, and so that's really why, you know, I'm excited. Look, there's some very, very fucking good places that I've stayed, and then there are some that you go there and you're like, dudes, you've just totally lied through your teeth in this description, you know, this is not what I thought I was getting. So, you know, I'm not here to bash Airbnb owners, not at all. I just want to really be honest about it and just say, well, hey, look, this is my experience, you know, bring it to the table. Yeah, because I think so. Some people are just getting away with too much. I mean, the washing machine, for instance, that's bullshit. That really is. So anyway, that's my stance. I hope that clarifies the things. I don't want to like become hated by every bee host. This is not my aim. No, I want to work with them. You know, because that's the way we go ahead in as in the adult world. You know, not by opposing each other. It's just silly.